I come from Brazil. I immigrated at 13. My sister and I, my mom brought now my mom has a whole secondary source of income. So multifamily was really the secret door that got us to the next level. 20 units in 5 years, 100 units in 18 months. They want to build legacy wealth for their families, or I'm now able to set up for my grandson a whole education plan to my values around money, my beliefs around money. So and I have a lot of skin in the game.
So how did you get started in real estate investing?
Great question. Real estate came into my life at a really good time. I come from Brazil. I immigrated at 13. My sister and I, my mom brought my sister and I as a single mom, and we had very much the immigrant life. We didn't speak the language, and we were in survival mode for most of our teenage years, adulthood years. And then fast forward to my late 20s, I had 2 little kids and married, and my mom went through a mental health crisis issue and she moved in with us. We lived in this townhouse, 1 bathroom, and we moved her into my son's room. I moved his crib out, and that's when it hit me. I'm like, how do people create wealth? How do I build wealth that goes beyond helping my kids and my immediate family into helping my mom and beyond that? I don't come from an investing family. We have very humble beginnings in Brazil. I didn't even really know what a stock was at that time. So I searched it up and I found real estate. My husband had been in construction for a long time, and I started investing in real estate. I joined a coaching program, an education, started learning, bought books, and bought my first property. What made a real difference was I took a ton of action. The moment that I figured what the first skills that I needed to have to start investing in real estate, I started taking action. I called a mortgage broker and we put an offer on our first deal. And I remember sitting in his office and I had a paper clip in my hand and I was so nervous. By the time he told me that I was approved for the mortgage, he said, "Are you nervous?" And I'm like, I don't think so. He said, "You literally destroyed my paperclip." And I looked at my hands and it was in tiny pieces. And taking a lot of action when you're uncomfortable, when it takes a lot to expand, change your habits, is really what gave me that initial kick to get started in real estate. And it changed our lives. It changed our financial lives. It changed our kids' lives. It changed our financial legacy. Now my mom has a whole secondary source of income from investing in real estate with us. She's now, bought her condo, moved out, and has a retirement plan because of the amount of action that I took when I first started in real estate.
So what makes multifamily apartment investing such a powerful wealth building strategy?
So multifamily was really the secret door that got us to the next level. When I first started in real estate, we were buying really rundown properties with my husband's construction company, and we were fully renovating them and converting them into legal fourplexes. It was a ton of work. We were buying strategically, doing one at a time, making sure our money was out, renting out to good tenants, and then recycling the funds into another one. And then when we got to about 20 units, we hit a ceiling. I was tapped out. I'm like, I'm giving full-time attention to this portfolio, and yet how do I scale from here? And then I did what I usually do. I'll go talk to people that are more experienced than me and find out how are they doing it? How did they scale? And I saw the common theme, which was multifamily. You gotta get more doors. And I thought, okay, if that's what I'm doing, I'm gonna learn it right now. I did what I usually do. I hired a coach. I got trained. I figured out what skills I needed to know. And then I went and took a lot of action and bought my first apartment building. And wow, did it make a difference. We went from having had 20 units in the first 5 years of investing to having 100 units in the next 18 months. 20 units in 5 years, 100 units in 18 months, that's the power of multifamily. It's just the scale of it. The energy that you put into purchasing the property, financing, finding tenants, it's the same amount of time that it takes. You're just talking about bigger scale. And now we can hire teams, we have property management teams, we have constructions, and I took a lot of my time back because we had the scale to have the proper team, maintenance, property management, construction, all of it in place, and we had the scale to do that. And it was a game changer. We're also talking much larger numbers. The projects are similar. We purchase, we renovate them, we bring forced appreciation, we refinance, we recycle that money, but now we're talking a few more zeros in there.
So why should someone invest with you and your team?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you an example of a 24-unit apartment building we purchased, okay? So there's 4 ways to make money in multifamily, in real estate in general, specifically the buy and hold strategy, which is what I really like here, because I am looking to build wealth long-term. So there is active appreciation, or forced appreciation, which means we're gonna add value to the assets. And that could be through construction, renovations, rent increases, better management, lowering expenses. There's numerous ways of doing that, which we became really good at doing. There is passive appreciation, which is the market doing what it does, going up, inflation and other components of the market as it goes up in value over time, as we know real estate does. There is cash flow, so that's how much money you're profiting every year after you're paying all your expenses. And there is mortgage pay down, which is ultimately your tenants are paying your mortgage every month, and that's money is going straight into your pocket once you refinance or exit the property. So out of these 4 ways, we focus on tackling all 4 of them. And it's like having multiple streams of income. When you purchase an apartment building, you're purchasing a business that has multiple streams of income, which is one of the things that I really enjoy about that. So this 24 unit we purchased back in 2021, we purchased for $2.4 million. We brought in 6 investors in that deal. Within 2 years, we focused on doing all the 4 strategies to bring the return that we wanted to bring. And primarily with this building, we didn't even need to do a lot of construction. Even though the building is older, it was well maintained. All we did was focus on lowering expenses and increasing the income. Within 2 years, that building was worth $3.25 million. Not only did our investors get all their money back, they got a really, really beautiful return. And that's investors like this that will continue to invest with us over and over again, because they know we have proven strategies to give them the best returns that we can. Really looking for investors that are really good at their jobs, they're busy with their families, they have the capital, they want to build legacy wealth for their families, but don't really have the time to go learn and do all the things that I did to get started in real estate. So they partner with experienced partners like myself and my business partners that have systems, deep roots on the markets that we're investing in, and they get to grow their investing. And the stories that have touched me and the reason why I decided to continue to partner, because now we have our own funds that we can use. But the reason why I continued to partner with passive investors is I saw how much change it was making in their lives. My mom is an example of that. She came in to live with us, didn't know how she was ever going to be able to retire, and she now has a whole secondary source of income because she's investing in real estate. And she wouldn't have known how to do that by herself. But I also started getting feedback from other investors and saying, I was able to visit my daughter 3 times this year instead of 1 time because I have this additional income from real estate. Or I'm now able to set up for my grandson a whole education plan. I wasn't able to do that before I had the real estate. As I started to see how much impact it was generating in our passive investors' lives, that's when something shifted. And I said, this is a bigger purpose than just changing my financial life. I get to actually have real impact in providing investors a place to come.
So, what was the moment you realized real estate would change your life forever?
We were working for about 5 years, near 5 years, in doing these fourplexes. It was a beautiful strategy. What I realized by doing a fourplex right away was that 4th unit was pure cash flow. And I thought, I'm hooked. Fourplexes it is. So we did 5 of those and got to our 20 units. And the cash flow was good. We were cash flowing, I don't know, average $1,500, $1,700 per property. So I'm like, not bad, this is good. But it wasn't life-changing money just yet. And I started to wonder, I'm like, so where is the life-changing money? Like, this is good. I would do it all over again, but where's the life-changing money? And this is when something shifted. And it shifted internally first. I did quite a bit of internal work to understand my values around money, my beliefs around money. And I did a lot of mindset shifts, which we'll get into later on what would it look like to be making life-changing money? Within a short period of time from that, I did get a phone call of a developer who wanted to purchase 2 of our fourplexes. And I thought, you know what? at first I was like, no, we're not selling. Like, we bought these properties. I'm a buy and hold girl. I'm not planning to sell anything. And then I thought, you know what? Why not? What if I sold it and walked away with $1 million profit? Would I do that? Heck yes, I would. And negotiated with them for about 6 months. We negotiated and had a closing in 6 months. And that's when we made our first full $1 million in our bank account of profit after taxes, after paying the mortgages down. And I thought, there it is. There is what everybody talks about when you think of investing in real estate. And since then, we've had several $1 million years in active investing and passive investing, our equity take back and our refinances and exits. It's been a hell of a ride.
So what's the biggest myth about real estate investing that you want to break?
That you have to start small. And in some ways, my journey was what was meant to be. I did what I needed to do to get comfortable enough and confident enough to keep scaling up. But if you can start with the scale by partnering with the right experienced team, I would say start there. You don't have to start with a duplex, with a single family home, with a condo. That's, in some ways, it's beautiful, it's better than nothing, but it's a bit of a waste of time when you can take that same amount of money and partner with several partners and buy an apartment building. That's going to take you much further in terms of returns. Right now, I have a 28-unit development. It's a project we've been working on for the last 4 years, and it's ready to break ground next year. We're bringing in financial partners. We're almost done with the raise, and we're excited to give investors opportunity to start from a brand new apartment building that's going to be high value, high rents for the next 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. So if you can, and if you're open to starting larger instead of smaller, as long as you're partnering with the right team that know what they're doing, have been doing this for a long time. I've been investing in real estate for over a decade now. We've been in construction for 2 decades now. So have a lot of experience. It's worth to go bigger than start small and work your way up.
What kind of investors are the right fit for your projects?
Yeah, so we partner with those that are successful with their jobs. They have money set aside to invest and grow their wealth. They want to be able to make money while they're working on their jobs. They want to be able to make money while they're sleeping. This is what real estate does. I love that every month, on the first of the month, I see hundreds of thousands of dollars rolling into my different bank accounts of people that are paying the rent. And yes, I put a lot of initial work, and there's some maintenance work along the way, but it's something that I get by just existing at this point. So investors that are looking to build legacy wealth for their families, for themselves, a retirement plan, have the funds to invest, but don't have the time or the interest to go learn how to do real estate as a profession, this is the type of investors that we partner with.
How does your approach protect investors in uncertain markets?
Yeah, great question, especially because over the last 2-3 years, how real estate has, had its cycle. And we all knew there was a cycle coming because there is always a cycle. I have grown a portfolio with a focus on stability. The reason why I started, as I said in the beginning, was because of my mom and to be able to provide for her something that I couldn't at the time. And since then, she invests, and her money is invested in every single one of our deals. So the way that I function is I wouldn't do a project unless I'd be willing to risk my mom's retirement plan on it. That's how seriously I take every project that we do. I put my own money into our projects. I carry liability in all of our projects. I'm liable, personal guarantee for the loans. So I have a lot of skin in the game here, and I really care about every project that we're doing. So can you repeat the question?
How does your approach protect investors in uncertain markets?
Yeah, beautiful. So multifamily is one of the most stable asset classes of all time. Historically, it's stable, it's consistent. When you have one of our largest buildings, a 52-unit apartment building, when you have 52 units rented, even if you do have, we average about 3% vacancy rate in that building. Even if you have 3%, 5-6 units, it's not going to make a difference. Even if you have to adjust the rates and the rents because of different market conditions, it still doesn't completely knock you out. The stability of apartment buildings really brings you consistent return over time, and then on the long term. It also brings best interest rates, best financing terms from lenders, because again, they're looking at the building, they're not looking at you thinking you're gonna have to cover that mortgage like you would with smaller multifamily or single family homes. They're looking at the building itself as a business. They see its potential, they see its income, they see its expenses, and they will finance based on that. It's actually much easier to qualify for an apartment building than it is to qualify from a single family home, which not a lot of people know that. Really, really good management systems. So this is what we focused on building from day one. We have very solid property management partners who are also have stake in the buildings. We have a lot of asset management systems in place, and expenses and income ratio that we keep very close eye on to make sure that we're providing that long-term stability for the tenant. We've never had to do a cash call in one of our buildings, which is when we reach out to investors and say something is happening, we need more money. We keep really good reserve funds on the account, and we make sure that we're optimizing everything that we can in our assets. So the last 2 years, I've had a lot of dear colleagues and friends who have gone bankrupt, who have had consumer proposals created, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. And in very specific, I noticed there was very specific strategies that lost people a lot of money. Usually the shorter term strategies like flips and wholesales, but also private lending. And it was the best 2 years of our portfolio. It was the last 2 years when everybody was losing a lot of money. We were doing extremely well, refinancing properties, pulling all of our investors' money out, doing paybacks, profit shares. And I asked myself, what allowed us to be in this position versus some of my colleagues who, beautiful people, best intention, strategic scaling is what I call it, is you're not overloading yourself, you're not over leveraging yourself, you're doing your good strategy solids. We usually work on 1 or 2 projects at a time, whatever we can handle, and then we get proof of concept. The other thing is market stability. I work in markets that are really have the fundamentals that you would need in a market, like immigration, numbers, purchase price, rent prices, economics, work possibilities, development. So I'm looking at really stable markets, and then I'm going really deep in that market. When investors will buy apartment buildings or houses or projects in different cities, different provinces, that causes a problem. In this case, we focus on one market, which is St. John, New Brunswick, after we moved out of Ontario. And we have over 100 units there and now a development project. So we have management partners, maintenance partners, construction, and we've created really deep roots. We know the market really well. We know what neighborhoods to buy it in, what kind of tenant profiles we go for, and that gave us a really huge advantage to solidify our strategy.